Hi, I'm Barb from Coach House Designs. Today we're going to look at how to make the star block using a jelly roll for the sheriff star pattern. This is block A from the sheriff star pattern. As you can see, the center of the square is made up with a courthouse steps block, which is 18.5 inches unfinished. Then the points of the star are made also with jelly roll strips. This is the center of block B, which I have already prepared. And I'll just pan down, and this now is the strip set that goes with block B to make the points on the star. And if you look at the instructions on page 4, under block B, I've got fabric 36 at the top, then fabric 30, fabric 29, fabric 24, and fabric 28. And I'll keep the strip set in that order on my cutting table to make sure that I keep everything properly oriented. The first thing I'm going to do is make a straight edge here to begin to cut the squares, which you will then cut on the diagonal to make the points for the star points. So I'm just going to cut this, give myself a nice clean edge, and then the instructions say cut 9 7/8 inch widths. So I will do that now, making sure that the lines on the ruler line up with the seams on the strip set to make sure that my cut is straight. 2, 1. Extra. Now, because these squares are made with a strip set, each of these strips is 2.5 inches unfinished. So when you put it together, it is 10.5 inches wide. So we want this to be a 9 7/8 inch square. So we're just going to cut off 5/8 inch from the top of the square. And we're going to make sure that we do the same cut on each of the blocks off the top fabric so that your points are all going to look the same. All right, there we go. Now, each one of these squares will make 2 points on one 9.5 inch by 18.5 inch rectangle, which will go at the top and the sides and the bottom of the block. So when you're cutting this, you're going to cut it on the diagonal always with the top fabric, whichever that might be for the strip set that you're working on, at the top, and cut from the top left corner to the bottom right corner, like that. And make sure again that you cut them all the same way. So here are the 2 triangles that we just cut, and I have in the instruction that you should label the triangles as A and B. So A is the triangle that has the top fabric at the top here, and B is the one that has the bottom fabric as the biggest piece at the bottom. So here is the 9.5 by 18.5 inch fabric 1 background rectangle that the points are going to be attached to. So the first thing you need to do is to mark the center of the rectangle, and with 18.5 inches, that would be 9 1/4. And then I'm going to mark 1/4 inch on either side. And I'm going to do that on both ends. so that I can use those as reference marks when I'm placing triangles on the background rectangle. Okay. Now I'm going to take triangle A and line it up with the line on the left. So that's my left, not your left. And it is line A, and that is marked in the instructions. So I'm lining the edge of it up along there at both sides, so I know that it's straight. And then this point here should extend 1/4 of an inch beyond the edge of the fabric, and the same thing on this side. A little bit better. Okay, and I'm just going to pin that in place. And then what you're going to do is sew 1/4 of an inch in from this edge. So beginning where the point crosses the edge of the rectangle, 1/4 of an inch in all the way up here again until where it reaches the point of the background rectangle. So I'm just going to go do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, I've sewed that on right along here, and now I'm going to take my iron and press that down. And when it's finished, the edge of the top fabric lines up with the edge of this side of the rectangle, and this edge lines up along the bottom of the rectangle. Now, after I press it, you have the choice of whether or not you're going to cut off this extra piece here. You don't need it once this is folded over because that fills in the rectangle. I like to keep it just for a little bit of stability, but it does add a little bulk to your quilt, so you may want to take it off. So I'm just going to go press that, and then we'll get ready for the other rectangle. Okay, I've pressed that down, and while I was doing that, the lines have disappeared at the bottom here because I'm using the Pilot Frixion pen, which is a great pen for marking when you're quilting because it disappears with a warm press. Although it will show up again if you put your quilt in the freezer, which not likely that you would do that, but if you live in a cold climate, it could come back, so you don't really want it to put the marks anywhere that you could see them. So, oops, I gotta turn that around. I'm gonna mark the lines again at the bottom because they came off with the iron. So just the center, and then the one to the 1/4 inch to the right because I don't need the other. Oops. There we go. All right, so here is my triangle B, and I'm going to line it up with the line on the right, which is your left. Like that. And then I'm going to sew along here 1/4 of an inch in, and then flip it down. So I flipped it around so it's properly oriented for the camera and upside down for me. So this is triangle A, so it's going to have the top fabric going along this side of the star point, and this is triangle B, and it's going to have just this little bit of fabric, the top fabric at the very top of this point. And you can see that the strips run in different directions, and that's how it's supposed to look. That's the only way you can do it with the striped squares, because when you flip it, it's going to look different. But anyways, this is what it should look like. All of your rectangles with the points on them should look the same. And then all you need to do is, well, finish the other ones and then attach it to the top of your center square, and you're off to the races. So I hope that makes sense, and thanks for watching my video.